What's going down, y'all? Happy Saturday. Is one half of the Wake Up Crew. Ray G here to talk some college football plays over on PRIZEPICKS for this Week 7 college football slate. Got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. We plugged the numbers in the model, looking at some matchups. Hopefully, we identify some solid plays for you to win some money today. As always, we don't make you pay for picks. All I do is ask that you hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, like the content. Comment below. Let me know who you're rocking with today. There's a lot going on in college football, so we're only trying to target the plays that we can mix and match, power play. Take what you like, leave what you don't. Just hit that thumbs up button. But let's dive into the numbers. And I'm not even going to play around this weekend. We're rolling with Max Duggan. I love this fantasy score number for Max Duggan today versus Oklahoma State. He's averaging right at 28.8 over his last 5, but really what's holding it back is that September 2nd game where he had 5.8. But you look at what he did versus Kansas, 34.82. 28 is the fantasy score. Now, Oklahoma State currently ranks 126th in the NCAA in passing yards allowed per game, 307 passing yards allowed per game by Oklahoma State. Now, conversely, TCU is also awful versus the pass. So if you wanted to take a Spencer Sanders fantasy score, I don't hate it. It's just not as high in our model. We got him projected right at 27, but TCU is 110th versus the pass in college football. So just throwing that out there. But Max Duggan, he's one of the highest usage rate players in college football. He's running the ball. He's throwing it. They finally got Quentin Johnston involved. And actually, if you wanted to double up and roll with Quentin Johnston today, I think they figured it out. Like, there's no more playing around. You got to get Big QJ involved in the passing game. And his numbers actually creeped up a little bit, but 5 receptions. We saw him at 14 last week. I think he's back, right? 14.5 fantasy score. So if you're just thinking about the correlation, if Max Duggan versus this bad defense is going to put up passing yards, Quentin Johnston is going to be a big beneficiary of that. So if you wanted to take Quentin Johnston's 14.5 fantasy score, more than that, I think it's a very solid correlated play. Max Duggan, Quentin Johnston, love both of those guys, but not a core play. I will play QJ, but not a core play recommended for the channel. Spencer Sanders, again, like it, not a core play. Want to talk about a rushing prop, and check this out. So let's go to rushing yards and talk about Ole Miss, because they got 2 very talented running backs, Zach Evans and Quinshon Judkins, the true freshman. We rolled with Judkins last week. He did not get the volume. Well, he got the volume, couldn't rip off the long runs. Auburn, not stout versus the run. Zach Evans, if I'm taking one or the other, give me Zach Evans more than 78.5 rushing yards. We have him projected in our model for over 88 rushing yards, excuse me. So 10 yards more than what they have here versus Auburn. We know Ole Miss, they want to run the ball, and Zach Evans is a big part of that. Now, his fantasy score is sitting at 16.5. I do think he gets in the end zone, but he's ripping off runs. He looks healthy, and I would take 78.5 over the 90.5 from Quinshon Judkins. I do like Zach Evans more than 78.5 rushing yards on the slate today. And then the final play for the core play, well, I want to talk 2 more. Bijan Robinson, we continue to see his number going up versus Iowa State. 108 rushing yards, had 130 versus Oklahoma in a blowout win last weekend. He's been over 100 yards in 4 straight games. This opened at 104.5. They bumped it up 4 yards. Not sure where Bijan is on the books. Actually, let's look for it. Let's see what Bijan is on the books real quick, because I don't mind this number right here. Let's see, Bijan. Shout out to FTN's Prop Shop. Rushing yards, yeah, see, 104 on the books, minus 115. Not going to touch it. Not going to touch it. But I don't mind 108.5. But the last play that I really like, really like, is Travis Dye. And they bumped up his fantasy score. I got it at 18.5. They bumped it up to 19.5. Travis Dye, look at this. He has smashed this number in his last 4 games. He's been over this total. He is the engine of this offense. I know it's all about Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison, but Travis Dye is getting his opportunities. We have him projected in this game for almost 90 rushing yards in this matchup. And you look at what he's done on the ground this season versus Utah. They're gonna have to be a balanced attack versus this team. 149 versus Washington State, had 62 versus ASU, 133, 102, 105. I mean, on the season, he's averaging 110 yards on the season per game. Love this number for Travis Dye. 82.5 rushing yards for Travis Dye. Really like this number. Definitely looking at him as a core play today. So there you go. Those are the 3 core plays that I'm looking at. Max Duggan fantasy score, Zach Evans rushing yards, and Travis Dye's rushing yards. As we get later in the season, these teams are starting, conference play. This is a Pac-12 matchup, physical game. They play each other tough. Travis Dye is going to have every opportunity as the lead back in USC to carry the load for that offense. I really like these 3 plays right here. So again, take what you like, leave what you don't, get you in and out. Max Duggan, number 1 play on the slate tonight. Do like Quentin Johnston, Zach Evans, Travis Dye, and, Hendon Hooker and under fantasy score. For some reason, I had a dream, or I thought he was at 27 fantasy score, but it's at 22, so I'm not going to take an under there. Just stay on the lookout for Bryce Young. If they put his numbers out there, Tennessee's, I think, a bottom 5 team versus the pass in college football, so it could be a big day if Bryce Young is in fact cleared and healthy, ready to play. So if I find anything else, I'll post it in the comments as the day goes on, but I appreciate you tapping in. If you like the analysis, if you like the plays, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe. We'll be back with NFL plays on the channel tomorrow. NBA starts next week. We got the model cooked up for y'all. Good luck and enjoy. I'm out. Peace.